Hello there and welcome to the first lesson of our course. Now this course is designed for complete beginners, so if you have never opened Blender before, this is the right one for you. Now this course will not take you from A to Z, but rather from A to, let's say, around L. So I would say it will take you from the basics. We'll start off with the complete basics and work our way slowly but surely to an intermediate level. And this is not necessarily a complete A to Z guide for Blender. Okay, so now once you have that out of the way, let's start discussing about the main things. Now I'm already assuming that you have installed Blender, and if you have not, then you should install it, of course. This whole course is based on that. And if you do not know how to do it, then I've linked the exact steps in my Discord server, and its link will be in the description. Okay, so yeah, I think that is pretty much it. And for this first lesson, we'll start off with the complete basics. So we'll start off with the basic navigation and the basic panels, and simply we'll just not go into a lot of depth, So yeah, once you have that out of the way, let's just start off with the course. Okay, so for this course, I'll be using the Blender version 4.2.0, and if there is, and I hope there is a newer version of Blender when you're watching this, and yeah, then if there is, then you should definitely go for that. But right now I'm using Blender 4.2.0. Now when you open Blender for the first time, or any Blender file for the first time, you'll see this screen in the middle. You see this guy right over here. Now this guy right over here allows you to open the recent files and allows you to create new files. But in my opinion, this is pretty useless, and I don't actually remember using it quite often. So for now, we'll just click it right off. Okay, so once you do that, you see that there's so many things, so many buttons, so many panels, so many things that we do not know what they do. So yeah, for now, I'll just say that keep that thing out of your mind. We'll slowly but surely cover not all, but a lot of these things. And yeah, it may seem a bit overwhelming at the start, but just get that out of your mind and just focus on what we'll be discussing, which will be the complete basics. Okay, so we'll start with the complete basics, then work on our way to some more difficult buttons, panels, and learn what they do. Okay, so what do we see over here? Okay, so we see a giant screen in the middle, or you could say this is the main workspace with the grid and stuff. You see, as this is a 3D software, you see that there are grids and stuff. There's the y-axis indicated by by the green color, and the x-axis indicated by the red line. Okay, so this big screen is our main workspace, which is known as the viewport. Okay, our main workspace is known as the viewport. And for now, all I want you to do is focus on this screen. Just assume that all of the things outside of it does not exist. Okay, so what is this? When you see the viewport for the first time, we see, first let me just get rid of the annotation, it's just a bit distraction in my opinion. Yeah, so what do we see? We see that there are three objects in our scene. First, we see a camera, and we know it is a camera as it says over here, then a light and a cube. Okay, so everybody knows what a cube is. It's a three-dimensional shape with all equal sides. Okay, that is clear to everybody, I hope. But what are these two cryptic looking icons over here? Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the camera and the light. Now, what does the camera do, and what does the light do? Yeah, you just don't need to know that for now. Just ignore that. For now, we'll be just deleting them as they are just distraction for us right now. So what I will do is, I almost forgot about that. Before moving forward, I'll just turn on my screencast keys, so you can see exactly which buttons I am pressing. Okay, so now what I will do is I will just delete these two objects. Okay, so anything in our workspace on the viewport is known as an object. So for example, a light or a cube or everything like that is an object. Okay, so I will just press delete. Okay, or alternatively what I can do is I will press the X key and then the delete key, or I can just press the X key and then delete it like this. So if you do not have the delete key on your keyboard, you can just press the X key and then delete. There we go. So yeah, what do we see now? We see a cube in the middle. We see these axes. You see this grid types patterns right over here. And we see the x-axis and the y-axis. But where is the z-axis? Z-axis by default Blender doesn't show it because it's clear. Whereas the z-axis is just going like this, you know. So yeah, Blender just doesn't show it. It's just useless. It's just distracting. You see. Okay, so let's finally start off with the let's say with the basic navigation. So how do we move around inside of Blender? So what do we do is we hold down the middle mouse button. So I hold down the middle mouse button or the scroll wheel, and then I just drag it around. So you see how this is how we move around. To pan around, we hold down the shift key and the middle mouse button. So just like this. And to zoom in and out, what we can do is we can just scroll our middle mouse button or the scroll wheel. Or alternatively, what we can do is hold down the control key and the middle mouse button. So, and this just drag our mouse. So we can also zoom in like this. So in total, we have 2 methods for zooming in. Okay. Well, technically 3, but we'll come to it in a second. Well, not in a second, we'll come to it right now. Okay, so so we have learned about the basic navigation. We can just move around like this using the middle mouse button, holding down the middle mouse button, and if we hold down the shift key, we can pan around like this. And if we hold down the control key, we can zoom in like this, or just scroll the middle mouse button. Okay, that's good. Now, what is the another way to move around or to navigate? So we can do it using these tools right over here. Okay, well, not these tools exactly, these tools. Okay, so these 3 tools we can also move around using these. How, you may ask? So firstly, if we hold down this UI, we can just move around like this. If you just drag it around, we can move around in our workspace or the viewport. Well, viewport is the more correct term, so we'll be using it from now. Okay, we can zoom in using this. We can just hold it down and then zoom in and drag our mouse, or pan around like this. Now, yeah, we just learned these 2 methods. Now you may wonder that why am I telling you these? Now my job is to tell you all of the tools, and your job is to utilize them based on your needs. So sometimes for sometimes moving around like this using this conventional way, as most of the people just use this way. So just hold down their middle mouse button and just move around like this, or pan around like this, or zoom like this. And most of the people don't use these tools. But I also recommend you to not use these tools, as they are barely useful. But these may be useful in some scenarios, which we'll be talking about later on. Okay, so yeah, again, my job is to just tell you the tools. Your job is to utilize them to create the models, to create the scenes, and everything you like. So now these buttons. What are these buttons? So the first one, it looks like a camera, and this just allows us to switch from normal view mode. So for example, we are in the normal view mode for now. So if we just click this button, oh, what happened? Nothing happens. So what this button allows us to do is it allows us to switch from normal view mode, which we are in right now, to the camera view mode. So what's the purpose of that one? What does the camera do? We'll talk about it later on. This is the first lesson. I just want to get the basics out of the way, okay? But yeah, so as you already know that we do not have the camera in our workspace or in the viewport. So this button just doesn't do anything. We can just click it as many times as we want. This button is useless for now, as long as we do not have a camera in our viewport. Okay, so now what is this one? So this key, this button allows us to switch from perspective mode to orthographic view mode. So for example, right now we're in the perspective. Sorry about that voice crack. So right now we're in the perspective view mode. So as you can see here, there's a perception or a perspective going on. But if we switch over to the orthographic view mode, as you can see here, things look much more flat. So as you can see here, as this is a simple cube, so this side must be equal to this side, and we can see that because you can see that these 2 points meet at the same exact grade units. You see, this is the 1 unit and this is the 2 units, 1 and 2, so they are at an equal distance. But for example, if I just turn off this orthographic view mode, as you can see, the view is just distorted. I mean, you can kind of align it, but it's not the same as the orthographic view mode. Orthographic view mode gives you the complete, or it just gets rid of the perspective. You see, so this side is equal to this side, and this is how it's supposed to be. But the perspective mode just gets rid of that. Okay, so let me just get rid of the annotations. Yep, there we go. Okay, so let's discuss about some of the basic panels. Okay, so we have already discussed about that this panel in the middle, this whole panel in the middle, this is known as the viewport. Okay, this is known as the viewport. Yep. Now there are 2 more panels on the right of your screen. You can see them. Okay, so number 1, yeah, so this one is called the outliner panel. Okay, so this allows us to see all of the objects and all of the collections in our scene. So as you can see here in our scene right now, we only have a cube, so it only shows a cube. And if we select it, the cube, and we have selected it as it shows in orange outline, we know that it has been selected also by the outliner view mode, also by the outliner panel, because it turns it into a blue, or adds a blue, you could say it just adds a blue color to it. Now this panel, yep, this panel I would say is the most important panel after the viewport, of course, because without the viewport you cannot really do anything. But this is called the properties tab, and it allows you to change properties for everything. Okay, I'm talking about camera, I'm talking about objects, I'm talking about materials, I'm talking about textures, I'm talking about world. The list goes on. You see, this panel will be the most important for editing all of the you could say all of the properties. Yeah. Now this panel in the middle is called the timeline panel. Now this timeline panel is only useful for those who are going to be becoming animators. If you're not going to become an animator, this is useless for you. Just throw this panel out of your mind. You won't be using it anytime. But if you are going to be an animator, this is the most important one for you. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. So this is for animator. Oh, it's not animators, it's animators. Yeah, yep, so it's animators, for only animators. Now what are these over here? These are the general tools that you can use to manipulate your object. So I would just write this. This is simply the tools. For example, it allows us to change things like the size, the rotation, the scaling of your object. So let's say we have the cube over here, and let's say I want to move it. Okay, so what I can do is I can just go over to this tool over here. So it introduced a new UI to our screen. And I don't know what's up, I'm just getting too many voice cracks. Sorry about that. But as you can see, it just allows us to move our object either into any of the axis or independently as well. So for example, if you want to move it on the x-axis, which is denoted by the red line, you can just move it on the x-axis, just like so. You see how cool is that? We finally did something cool for the first time in this lesson. And for the z-axis, it is denoted as blue, and for the y-axis, it is of course y. So yeah, now let's say that if you get confused that which is the y-axis, which is the z-axis, and which is the x-axis, the simple way is to memorize that this y-axis is the green one, x-axis is the red one, and any other color is the z-axis, which only leaves the one color, which is the blue one, and that is the z-axis. Okay, so we can also move it around independently, as you can see, just like so. We can also rotate it. We can rotate it independently based on our view or on a respective axis. Just like so. And if we just don't click on any of these lines, we can just move it regardless of our perspective. Okay, so we have discussed that. Now let's discuss about the scale tool. It just works like the previous ones. You may have already guessed. You can scale on the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, or independently, as you can see here. Now there's another tool that combines all three of these tools into one. So it is this one, the transform tool. So this transform tool allows us to rotate, scale, and move our object within one tool. Now you may wonder that this is the most important tool then, right? Yeah, wrong. Well, the thing is that this tool is the most important if you are just manually selecting them and then just scaling them. But I would say that this is very time consuming and not time efficient. So the better way and the more smarter way is to learn shortcuts. So for example, for the move tool, it is the shortcut is G. So you just press G and you can just move your object. For the rotation tool, it is R. And if we press the R 2 times, we can move around regardless of our perspective. And for the scale tool, you may have guessed, it is the S tool, S key. So if you just want to scale, you can just scale by pressing S. If you want to do it on a respective or a specific axis, you can just press S and the X, or for example, for the X-axis, you would press X, Y-axis for the Y, Z-axis for the Z. Same goes for the move tool and the rotation tool, as you can see here. Perfect. So at this point, you know the basic panels, the basic properties of panels, basic navigation, basic tools. Now let's say that what if we want to modify this cube, and let's say we want to turn it into a house. Well, for that I will just delete that and I will add a new and a fresh cube. Okay, I will just delete it, and I will also delete the annotations. Yeah, so as you can see, we have deleted the cube, and as you can see, there are no objects in the scene, which is also shown by the outliner panel. Now how can we add objects? Well, for that we can just press Shift and A. Okay, Shift plus A. Now this opens up the add menu, so we can add meshes, curves, surfaces. Now what are curves, surfaces, metaballs? You don't need to know them for now. Just throw this thought out of your mind. Okay, do not ask what are these. For now we will only be discussing about the meshes. Now Blender comes in with you could say basic types of meshes, which is a simple plane, cube, circle, sphere, icosphere, cylinder, cone, torus, grid, and a monkey. Now the rest of the things that you can see, you may not be able to see them because I've enabled them using an add-on, so you can just ignore them for now. So what I just want you to do is, I just want you to never mind, I cannot really select it. Yeah, I just want you to focus on these ones. Okay, so for now I'll be just adding in a cube. There we go. Now as you can see, when we add in a cube, it adds a new panel. Now if you open this panel, we can already change its size or location or rotation. You see, so we can add the cube and change its size from over here. But if we click off, then this panel is gone. Now let's say if you want to add in let's say we want to create a roof. So let's not say a roof, let's say a wedge. So if we will want to move this whole line down if you want to create an wedge. So by a wedge I mean, a shape like this. So a shape like this, you see. So this line will move down, which will give us a shape like this. So let's think about it for a second. How can we do that? Now let's say that if we want to move it, okay, let's try moving it. Well, that doesn't seem to work out. Well, let's say that we scale this line downwards. Let's try that. And nope, that doesn't seem to work. Well, what is going on is that these tools only change the whole object, say together. So it doesn't allow us to change the points individually. So we cannot change these points individually, as you can see here. So what we want to do is we want to move these two edges to these 2 points down. But as we saw that we cannot do it right now. So how can we do that? Well, for that we have modes inside of Blender. So for example, if we go over here, we can see there are modes over here. What are these modes? For example, we are in the object mode. In the object mode, it allows us to change the object together. So all of the points move together. As you already know, if you didn't know, I will tell you right now, a 3D shape is made of points. And edges, the points which are called vertex for singular and vertices for plural, and edges, which is just basically 2 vertices connected together, and a face, which is 4 edges or 4 vertices connected together. Do not worry if you do not understand what I'm talking about. I just wanted to give a quick overview, but we'll discuss about the vertices, edges, and faces, and we'll discuss about their we'll discuss about them in a bit more detail later on in the lessons. So coming to the main thing that I wanted to discuss is that there are modes. For now we're in the object mode, but if we press this button, we see many modes. Now this edit mode is what allows us to change the individual points. Now I won't be clicking on this because it will give us many more options and many more tools which may confuse you. Okay, so now what I will do is I'll just wrap up this lesson. I just wanted to tell you that there are modes inside of Blender, and different modes allow different functionality, and I just wanted to throw that out of the way, or throw that in the way. I just wanted to tell that, okay? But about these modes, we'll discuss them later on. So yeah guys, that is the first lesson, and I hope you have enjoyed this first lesson and have learned at least the foundation of Blender, okay? And yeah, I hope that you have learned something new, and yeah, let's just wrap things up and we'll meet in the next lesson. Have a great day.